What's up everybody, here from rugbystrengthcoach.com, another video from the absolute dump that is Rose Bay in Sydney with the sausage dog. He's doing his thing. Today's video is going to be about a recent job posting that appeared on UKSCA and UK Sport. I didn't see it myself, but a couple of people sent me it and said, you know, what do you think of this? And to basically sum up the job, it was to work with high-level soccer athletes in a strength and conditioning sports science dual role, and the upshot was it was a 5-week contract and you got paid £8 an hour. And people want to know what I think about it, and it's a bit of a mixed bag. So I'm going to kind of attack it from two perspectives. One is the perspective of the coach, and one is the perspective of the organisation, which is trying to pay their coaches £8 an hour. So first off, if you're a prospective coach, this job is just an example of you should not be in this field if you're in it for the money. You know, £8 an hour, that's like stacking supermarket shelves money. The difference being to stack shelves in the supermarket, you don't need an MSc and UKSCA accreditation like they're asking for in this job posting. Let's say 15,000 in educational loans, 15,000 in living expenses, plus about 5 years to get your MSc and UKSCA, and you're going to earn £8 an hour. So you're not going to get into this field for the money. If you're in it for the money, stop what you're doing right now, quit, and save yourself about 30 grand of debt and 5 years of your life, and go do something that pays better. So that's the first point. The second point would be, if you look at what they're asking for a postgraduate degree with a UKSCA accreditation, and they're paying £8 an hour. So that should tell you straight away that those levels of qualifications and letters after your name, they're not that big of a deal, and they're not actually going to differentiate you much from the rest of the crowd that are going for the job, and it's ultimately not going to be the driving factor behind you making a decent amount of money and progressing your career as far as you want to go, because they've been devalued that much that that's what you get an hour now. About 20 years ago, I reckon you would have got a head of department job at a top level club with those qualifications, which is not the case now. So what do you need to get ahead and get the money and differentiate yourself from the crowd? Well, that's the stuff that isn't as easy to go through or as easy to come by. And I'm talking about professional experience and professional skills. And that is why it's super, super important to get yourself in an environment where you're actually at the cold face, learning how to implement the MSc and the UKSCA. And not only developing your skills as a coach and getting the real world experience, but also strengthening your network. Because I always tell people that's the number one thing that's going to be a factor in you getting a job. Not how many letters after your name you've got, or how many years at university you've got. Number 3 is, if a coach asked me for advice and said, should I apply for this job? My answer would almost certainly be no. And the reason I would say no is because if you're unlucky enough to actually get the thing, you then become the coach who's willing to work for £8 an hour. And it sets people's perceptions of how much value you're able to bring to a team and how much you're actually worth. It's way easier to talk somebody up to 25 grand when you're getting paid 20 grand than it is if you're getting paid £8 an hour. So my advice would be try and find somewhere else where you can maybe do a year-long internship, which is tough, but then make that jump up to a decent wage rather than try and start so low and then work your way up from there. If you are or if you were a coach who did get a job that paid £8 an hour, my advice would be to leave as soon as you can. Get as much as you can professionally out of the experience, but what you need to do is cut your ties as soon as possible and move to a club where there are fresh perceptions of you and your ability and the value that you're able to bring to a team. Doing so is going to open you up to earn a lot more money down the line than if you stay put in one place where you become the guy or the girl who only brings £8 an hour of value to the team. I've experienced this in my career. I can tell you a number of coaches within my network have experienced this as well, and it's the ones who are not afraid to move and move fairly quickly, you know, every couple of years, 2-3 years, that actually make that acceleration in terms of what they're earning. Sometimes it takes a year-long internship, sometimes it takes 2 internships or more, but ultimately you're going to make more in the long run, in my experience, than if you're getting paid £8 an hour from the start. Now, from the perspective of the organisational business which is hiring these people and wants to pay that wage, the first thing that springs to mind for me is that if you're paying £8 an hour, to somebody who's got a master's degree and a professional accreditation, it actually conveys quite a bad message to your staff. Now, whether you want to pay people because it's illegal to not pay them, or you want to pay them because you want to be decent and at least allow them to make back some of the money that they're going to lose working this job, and they will lose money because however many hours you quote, multiply it by 1.5, that's probably how many they're going to do because it's such a competitive industry. I think it conveys a bad message to the people that you want to hire, because we only have to look at the state of the industry in commercial PT and know that people can be out there earning 30, 40, 50 pounds a session after only doing a 6-week course. Now you've got an MSc, UKSCA graduate who spent 5 years getting those qualifications, and you would pay them about 25% of what this PT is going to get. And it probably, whether consciously or otherwise, conveys a message to that member of staff that you value them about a quarter as much as you would for just a run-of-the-mill PT. And I think when you treat people like that, you're probably not going to get the best out of them, and they're not going to want to hang around there very long, which is not conducive to building a really big business or organisation that's successful in the long run. Point number 2 for clubs and businesses is that, in my opinion, you should probably spend, 4 times that money. At least try and pay coaches a little bit of what they're worth. And I think actually it's going to make for a more productive business in the long run. Like I said, I think to try and build a long-term successful club and business, you need a low rate of turnover with staff. You need people that are going to be on the ground year after year after year, working towards your goals as an organisation. And I think once you effectively take money off the table, if you read Drive by Daniel Pink, you actually see that most people are not motivated by money, they're just motivated by surviving primarily. And once you take that issue off the table, they can really set about enjoying their work and dedicating themselves to it. And if you pay coaches a decent amount of money, which means that they don't have to look elsewhere to feed themselves and to make ends meet, they can really focus on their work and enjoy it and not worry so much. And anyone who's been an intern, I've been there, many other people have been there, you'll know that it's a fucking stressful time, and the whole time that you're out there trying to make ends meet and do part-time jobs, that's time that you could be becoming a better coach and contributing to your organisation. So if clubs or teams or businesses want to achieve that quicker, in my opinion, they should pay people more sooner. A great example of this would be Northampton Saints. The strength and conditioning staff that I've spoken to at the club, that team, the bulk of it has been in place for nearly 10 years now. They also treat their interns very well, from what I understand, much better than certain other clubs. I'm not talking about wasps, tappers. And when you step into that environment, you can see how much that people love to work there, how much they enjoy it, and how much they want to contribute to making that place better than it already is. And I can tell you that visiting a lot of clubs, that's not the vibe that you get in most places. In the places where they pay people less money, the coaches don't have a smile on their face quite as much, and it's a lot more of a difficult place to work because they're having to try and make ends meet in other places. Final thought would be that if you are in a business or a professional environment and you're paying an MSc graduate with UKSCA £8 an hour, at a guess, it's probably a bit of a shit business model. I think you need to maybe double, triple, quadruple your prices, and at least pass some of that onto your staff for the reasons that I talked about already. I think there's examples definitely from the States, there's some examples over here in Australia and also the UK, that it can be done. You can make a really successful business training athletes privately, and you can pay people a decent amount of money to train the staff for you. So maybe work on that a little bit, and I won't make videos like this, and people won't say things about that organisation, make messages to one another. If you really can't make the business work to a point where you can pay coaches a good amount of money to train your athletes, I would say probably just try and cheat and do what the Americans do, which is to get interns to do the work for you. And the plus side of that for the business is that you save money and you essentially get the same amount of work done, because really you don't learn a huge amount at university or UKSCA. You still have to do a ton of learning on the job, and you can probably get pretty close to that just by training people who are still in university and work as interns. You save a lot of money by doing that, and also the interns get the added benefit of much needed experience without getting shoved in the pay when they've already done all the hard work in terms of trying to graduate and get their accreditations. But yeah, I wouldn't apply for that job if I were a coach anyway. So that's what I think about it. If you've got your thoughts that you want to share about this job posting, leave me a comment on the Facebook page and let's have a discussion about it. And as ever, if you want any more information, go to rugbystrengthcoach.com/blog and like, comment and share. Thanks very much.